I'll call the meeting to order. Any discussion on the minutes?
Oh, wait, move them, Andy. Don't say your name.
Oh, Petras.
Okay.
If there's no discussion, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Jennifer, she here? Somewhere?
I'm online.
There you go. Okay, you're on, please.
So you have my report in front of you. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I'd also like to point out that I sent a separate report on some county-wide assessing models and what's required to implement those models. So just to briefly go over that, because I know that there's been some questions on the county-wide assessment. So there's a county coordinating assessment, which we currently do with 3 of our towns, Springport, Moravia, and Niles, where the county acts as the assessor for those towns, and that is through a contract with those towns. I think more of what specifically Andy Dennison has been getting at is a county-run assessing model, where the county would take over the assessing function for the entire county. To do that, that requires a county-wide referendum. So majorities in both the town level, so jointly considered all the towns, as well as the city, would have to vote in a majority to do that. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I know right now our office is not staffed to take on any additional assessing work for any other towns. And we're certainly not staffed for a county-wide assessing.
Andy, this is Andy. Before I get any assessors, including my own, mad at me, I didn't necessarily mean for the county. I wanted some way to continue to use the assessors that we have, but have some sort of formula that makes it fair, so that, like my example was $100,000 assessment in the northern part of the county versus $100,000 assessment in the southern part of the county don't pay different taxes because, you know, one's at a 98%, one's at 87% or something like that. So I'm not trying to make it into a county having to do it. I want more of a formula, I guess, for all assessors to be on the same board or the same page.
The state equalization rates that are put out, that's supposed to make it so that they are on an even playing field. So that takes a look at where the assessments are in comparison to the market values, and it tries to even them out. So every year the state does take a look at where the assessments are in comparison to market, and they do talk to the town assessors and come up with what that level of assessment should be, or the equalization rate.
So equalization rates can be different in different towns, or shouldn't the goal be to be 100% everywhere?
It's not always possible to be 100% everywhere. You know, some of our assessors have multiple towns, so it's not really possible for them to do a reval on every single town that they have every year. And that would also, you know, be up to the town whether or not they wanted a reval done.
Any other questions for Jennifer? Anybody?
Hans, this is Chris. If I could add to that, Jenny, please correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, but I think school districts use those too. And Red Creek Central is the school my kids go to. All of northern Cayuga County, we either go to Red Creek or Hannibal. Both of those school districts schools are actually located in different counties. So when we receive our Red Creek school taxes, I believe the equalization rates are applied there as well, so as to make it fair. For example, if the town of Wolcott doesn't do a reval in 10 years, and their assessed value generally is far lower than their sales would indicate, we pay the same amount when you apply the equalization rate. Is that correct, Jenny?
That is correct.
So it's farther than countywide. I mean, it covers, and I know we have a bunch of school districts that are overlapping between counties. So add that to the mix as well.
Yes.
Lawyers.
It certainly isn't simple.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Dempsey.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to just have a verbal message tonight because we're still getting our sea legs in the new office and the changes and so on. And we've been going through a lot of speed bumps there. I mentioned in the meeting, Dave, yesterday, some of the things, some of the positions, there's some unexpected changes. A lot of people were cross-trained in the last treasurer's office. And we're having to work through some of those specific issues internally now. Everything's going well with the tax collection. As you probably know, January is our biggest month, and that's all going along well. So on, I'll continue to be reporting more in detail on the next one, but I just wanted to let you know we are working through it, but it is a challenge and a little bit more than we anticipated, but I'll keep you posted on that as we go. Does anybody have any specific questions or?
No questions?
Okay.
Negative.
Hans told me to be brief, so.
Right. I like it that way. Okay, Mary Beth Leeson, please.
Good evening. I think you all have my report. So this is kind of like audit season for us. So we've had planned work for our countywide audit. Today, I just sent off all the documents for our tobacco asset audit. So it's kind of audit season. So it's a little chaotic there, but we're plugging through. So not sure if anybody has any questions, but we're hoping to get year-end numbers as soon as possible.
That was sort of the question I was thinking about, when you think you'd be able to close on 2021 and kind of make a projection of money to the fund balance and all of that. You think that's realistically when?
I think realistically, we're probably looking at late March, early April.
Okay, so the end of March.
And that would be a preliminary number. Currently, the auditors are scheduled to do the start of the countywide audit, actually auditing numbers, like they did preliminary, which is auditing procedure. They're auditing numbers. They're scheduled the last week in March. So I make that deadline.
Are you still projecting a pretty decent sales tax above what we put in the budget, like 4 million? Is that the number?
Yeah, I mean, I have to pull, I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I need to pull what they call the accrual number. That's going to be the big difference.
Sorry,
maker.
approval number?
Accrual. So what they do is they look at the end of the year, what sales tax they haven't paid us yet that was really related to 2021. Those numbers I haven't gotten yet. So that makes a big difference because I have to adjust those things. But
And the fund balance now is around 21. Is that true?
Right. And I did talk with so some of the bigger departments are working on their year-end adjustments. I've talked to Grace and DSS. I've talked to Janine in the health department. They're working on it. So because I have to have them finished before I can really start to finish.
One last question. The policy that we said about the fund balance amount we should have low and high is about what?
So it's 14 to 18 million, I think is or 14 to 20, I think is our number.
Okay.
So I think we're going to be in our number, probably mid to high.
But if we have 21 now and we're doing better.
Right, but we took money out, remember, for reserves. So I've got to look at what that takeaway is plus.
Fair enough. So you'll have a better idea at the end of March.
Yeah, we're just not there yet, but we're working. We're down 2 people, just so everybody knows, we're down 2 people right now. So, and have been since December. So we're struggling, but we're trying hard.
Doesn't the state recommend 10 to 15% of your annual budget as a number?
I honestly don't know what the state says, and the state has, from my experience back in my audit days and everything, they're very hesitant to provide a lot of guidance on fund balance. The only place I've ever seen the state really provide good guidance on fund balance was with school districts. They actually have a policy. The state has a policy on what school districts can maintain in their fund balance. But they don't do that typically for other municipalities.
Heidi?
I was just curious about your openings. Are those both junior accountants?
So we have an opening for a junior accountant. We've had somebody out on FMLA for quite a while. She came back this week on a part-time basis, so I'm hoping that we'll have her, but, so we hope to interview next week for junior accountant. We've gotten some applicants, so fingers crossed. On fire.
Any further questions? Anybody?
No, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Diane Ferris.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hopefully everyone has my report. I'll just ask if anyone has any questions.
Any questions at all? I guess not. Thank you. Okay, we're into resolutions already. Ways and means.
Mr. Chairman,
Well. Okay, 1, 2, and 3, I guess.
yeah, I'll offer them as a bundle if you would like, Petrus. I'll offer WM 1, 2, and 3 as a bundle.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Mark. All right, whatever.
Okay,
How we're gonna do it.
well, however, we'll get there. Any discussion on 1, 2, 3? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried, thank you. Number 4. This is adjusting the salary of the human resource administrator or the deputy at the time, okay, and who fulfilled the role. It's an extra $4,000, I believe, so. Is there a motion?
Move it, Johnson.
Is there a second?
Second,
Eileen?
Eileen.
Thank you. Any discussion?
This is the one-time payment of $4,000 to cover the duties?
Yes,
Okay,
the time she served there, yep. There's no further discussion. We proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Health and Human Services, Elaine?
Health and Human Services has had 16 resolutions. They are up there. I don't know how you want me to, there was one resolution for Office for the Aging, annual contracts with various subcontractors. There were 4 resolutions for the Health Department. One to renew a contract with Bernie Bus for the transportation of children in the pre. One was to renew a contract with East Hill Family Medical and Finger Lakes Community Health Center for the provision of sexually transmitted disease services that the health department's required to provide for residents in the community. And the HH4 and 5 were both accepting of grants. One was over $300,000 lead poisoning prevention grant. And the HH5 was to accept over $200,000 for Healthy Neighborhoods grants, which is going to target Men's, Port Byron, section of Auburn, and Montezuma. There were, I think, 9 social services resolutions. 6, 7, and 8 were all contracts with Cayuga centers for provision of services to prevent foster care placements. One was for 4 respite beds to be used as an alternative to taking kids into foster care or giving families in crisis a break. And one was the $305,000 for support provision of supervision and monitoring services. Those were all Cayuga Center resolutions. They were all budgeted in 2022.
I would offer them all as a bundle.
All right,
Second,
great.
Petrus.
Thank you. HH 6 through 14 is a bundle, or you want me to go through them all,
I
or?
would,
Can we do them all as a
I would
bundle?
offer HH 1 through 16 as a bundle if everyone's.
And I'll second that.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Andy?
Just a quick, I mean, the majority of these, when we're doing these contracts, are just re-upping contracts. right?
And none of them, I don't believe, are brand new contracts. They're contract renewals. Yep.
And everything.
Chapel House one, is that new or no?
Chapel House is the homeless.
The shelter, yeah.
on Franklin Street.
Oh, that's the existing one.
$77.
So it's the same.
Yep. Yep.
And without going back and reading into them a lot, and the ones that say fill, I'm assuming were budgeted ones anyhow.
Yep, fill of a budgeted vacancy. Yep, there was one of those.
That's why I don't have an issue with bundling them all.
All right, great,
Any further questions? Go ahead.
A question for
sure.
Chair on page 5, and it's just a question on this lead program for the next 5 years that came through the state. Is that any way tied into the recent EPA grant that we should be looking at for more funding? They passed, the federal government passed a $15 billion grant program. And it has a lot to do with water, sewer, lead removal and abatement, lead piping. It's a $15 billion program that they recently passed.
Kathleen, I'm not sure. This is a state grant.
But
And
is it
this-
tied in anywhere with that, or I wonder how the state came up with the money? Or if they're getting it from this,
Do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I'm curious.
Sure.
I'm not
So
against it.
I actually don't know enough about the EPA grant to speak to it. I don't believe that it's affiliated, but I'll certainly see what I can learn. My understanding, how we got this additional funding for the lead grant money is because we've been asking, and they actually took money away from other counties that weren't making use of it to give it to us. So it would have been already existing in the state
In the
budget.
state budget, okay.
Focus on prevention more.
Correct.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And what little bit I read, Jim, I don't think they've figured out how to allocate it all yet.
That new,
The EPA one.
okay. That's something we should, I don't know how we keep an eye on that or who keeps an eye, but that's a bundle of money there that has been approved. We talk about all these water projects, and sewer projects and so forth that we somehow, I don't know how we get it on our radar. It's supposed to be for underserved areas. Underserved areas in our.
Aileen, would that be under planning at all? Steve, or something to follow that?
It's an environmental health grant.
For lead abatement. and-
It's for
It's for a lot of things.
wide range
Lot
of
of
stuff. We have all these projects like the troop, and their water issue and so forth. Can't resolve them in this room today or in the months to come. This could be a source of funding that could help some of our.
Well, maybe that's something that you can put on our state reps' radars to let us know how we can get a hold of some of that.
Absolutely.
Start tracking it. I heard a little bit about it, tried to listen to I'm not a computer guy, a podcast or something where they were talking about it. So
Do you have anything you can email Miriam?
all I know is the EPA program, $15 billion.
Right.
And I had to write that down twice to make sure I heard it right.
I will definitely look into it.
Any other comments?
No, thank you.
Anybody? Okay, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of 1 through 16, Health and Human Services? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Any government operations?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Government Operations had 3 resolutions which all passed through committee. But at this time, I would like to offer GO2 and GO3 as a bundle. GO2 is authorizing a contract between Records Retention and the Department of Health and Human Services. And GO3 is amending the Cayuga County Emergency Closing Policy. So I'll offer those 2 as a bundle.
Move them, Dennison.
Second, Jim.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried.
Okay, so GO1 is the Dreams Project, which I think I've made no bones about. I think that it's something that needs to be implemented and will be required within the next couple of years. But GO1 is, would ultimately will be a 4-year digital project to basically modernize the clerk's department. So I will offer that.
So I'd like to make a motion to table that.
All right, so we have a motion to table. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so a motion and there's a motion and there's a second to table. I'll just simply add, take the liberty as chairman to say that, again, I think this is a project that's going to be required and necessary, but I do understand that taking the time to assess the ways to implement can benefit us, but it will be, I think what you meant is to table 2 government operations in March, correct?
Yes.
Because that's where I'd like to most certainly bring it back. So if there's any further discussion,
Chris, can I speak about it?
absolutely. So go ahead.
Okay. As you know, part of this is us applying for a New York State Archives grant. And the New York State Archives grant from the last one they did to this one has changed dramatically, probably because of the digital frenzy that's going on in the state and everywhere else. So they used to have 2 sentences, write something very briefly. Now they have 2 pages of very, very specific information that they want. They want us to have a vendor and prices and everything for that. We will not even get that grant if you put the brakes on it again. I mean,
Let me understand you correctly, Sue. So if we don't have, so I'm trying to think, bear with me because I'm trying to spit it out.
right.
What if we were to create the account and not have fully funded it? Would that eliminate the risk of not getting those other funds towards it?
So we would need, it's a whole project, okay? You are not going to change anything in the county, and it's just not to modernize the county clerk's office. It is to change the way every single department in this county does business. And it's going in parallel lines with what IT is doing and some other departments too. You're not going to change anything, save money, get rid of a building or anything unless you go all in. It's not a project that I'm going to do unless it's all in, because it doesn't make sense. It'd be throwing money out the window. And in 2 years, maybe less than that, our record center is going to be full. So I know this has been, I've been working on it for 2 years. I bring it up, it gets put the brakes, but sooner or later, you got to decide, do you want to go digital or not? It'd be a lot easier for me not to go digital. Let me tell you that I am ready more than anybody to do this project. But the New York State Archives grant, which is going to help towns and villages, because they're shared services, come in and also be digital and take care of their records one at a time. That grant depends on us having vendor information, prices and everything. We can't even get a vendor without getting some approval from this body about this project. I don't know how many.
All right, so-
times I'll say it.
Okay, hold on. First we got, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sue, I want you to know, number one, I'm for this project. And I think, I'm not speaking for anybody else in this room, but from conversations I've had, nobody's against this project. My question to you is 1 more month going to hurt?
I can tell you that we will not get that New York State Archives grant because they have, anybody who's done any of them, they will tell you this percentage, 60% or whatever, is going to be on all of this section. How much it's going to cost, who's going to do what, blah, 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 the whole plan. If I don't have a vendor in place, now we've been vetting these companies, Don knows all about it. And they're ready to jump in, okay, and give us a price for the entire thing. It's a big project, but I can't do that New York State Archives. I'll do the grant, New York State Archives grant, but we will be I don't even know if we'll get that 60% grade or meet the standards that is even begin to be considering when people will get 90%. There are counties that have those vendors ready.
I guess my question, I'm really specifically asking, I'm not saying that next month that the whole project will not be funded. I'm just saying there is plenty of conversation amongst the legislators that we just don't know right at this moment where we're going to come up with the $4 million that this project costs.
Right.
And I'm going to say it again. I'm for this project 100%. But right at the moment, we don't know where we're going to get, how we're going to fund that entire $4 million.
Right.
And what I want to know is 30 days. In other words, if we table this to the next government ops committee meeting to make a decision, is that going to hurt this grant that you're talking about?
Absolutely.
And I guess if you say that, now I want to know how it's going to hurt,
You want to know,
how this is going to, waiting 30 days
So
is going to hurt.
we are going to have our grant ready to be sent in about March, anywhere from the 7th to the 10th, which is a couple days early. That's why, because I'm not going to get a vendor, like ask any vendor now to come and just do that. It's a whole process. We're going to put it in the cloud. We're going to have the same vendor and have it all together. We're not going to do it, this chunk that we're doing now, digitizing it, is not going to be part of, and with a different vendor than what we're doing the whole project. It doesn't make any sense. It would be like taking a contractor, you're building a building, you're taking a contractor, well, you can do the basement. I think we're going to wait a year or something or whatever, a month or 2 months, get another contractor to do the rest of the building. Doesn't make sense. You're just not seeing it in that way. And I absolutely know this is a big decision. It's $4 million, but the enormity of it, if you go over and see the record center.
How much is the records retention grant for? Or I'm sorry, I screwed it up. Archives. Yeah, the archive.
Archives is 100, the most you can get is $150,000 for a shared services grant. That is the one that we're going to include the town of Owasco. And that is just part of this part of this whole thing, but I'll take $150,000 any day. I'll take $50,000 any day.
Okay, so Elaine,
I guess two things now. Are you talking about including Owasco like this year?
Yeah.
Not after, not if you get this up and running. Owasco could be a partner this year.
Yes, they will. I have to choose a place. They're the ones I went to. They were physically close and they don't have a heck of a lot of records, but they have enough, they have a problem. So it just was a good fit. So if we keep going and doing those shared services along with the whole program.
But you don't have a shared service plan. We didn't submit one with Owasco for this at this point in time, correct?
Right, but I talked to Lynn Marinelli about this because I followed up, with your suggestions from government ops. And Lynn Marinelli described it like this. And Lynn, if you're on, maybe you can back me up, or I hope I understood it correctly. So the county is the lead on all of those shared services from the state, that's piece. And if you, let's say we go into this, we get this grant for Owasco shared services. If we save Owasco, the town of Owasco, $50,000, then we could get reimbursed that $50,000.
1 year's worth of savings.
We could. And anytime you do, you prove that you save a town or a village any money, and you have the bills and you have all the paperwork put together, we could be reimbursed. We could be. If Lynn's on, she could do that. But so, okay, here's kind of an after the fact thing for this.
Here's the, I'm wondering about this.
it says.
I was initially, and I am still reluctant to commit $4 million of ARPA funds this month, right now, before we even take a look at all this. I support the project. I think we should be.
I want to let Jim speak.
Is there a way the county could commit to beginning the project it doesn't matter to you if we end up using fund balance. Because if we're gonna be over
You
our,
could use
right, I mean,
lunch money.
no, but you're asking us to right now tonight commit $4 million out of 8 million of the flexible money we have. That's the problem I'm having with committing to that right here tonight.
Tell me if you would have a problem, Elaine, committing it to a clean water project. $4 million.
I'd have
I
a
would
problem
say-
committing anything tonight before we have this review of all of what's on the table and what our priorities are.
All right, so
But could we do this? Could we make a commitment to work on the project, but not commit to 4 million of ARPA? I mean,
So that,
Well,
I'm sorry.
no,
hold on.
the motion does not call for $4 million of ARPA money.
yes, it does, Hans, I thought.
It calls for a mixture.
What, no,
I thought it does. I thought it said a mixture. So
Yeah.
how those funds were made up, I think,
no, but at the end, doesn't it say a request of 4 million of ARPA? Doesn't it say in the resolution?
maybe it does, maybe it does.
Request of $4 million of ARPA?
Support a multi-phase, multi-year.
But she's saying in the
$4
resolution.
million project called Dreams, et cetera, and to fund it using a combination of two sources, American Rescue Funds and local government records management improvement grants.
It doesn't reference 4 million of ARPA.
Does not
Oh,
commit 4 million to this project.
So, Jim, and then,
Chair, so I got one answer. By March 7th or something is this one grant going in. But the other part of that is what, and I excuse my ignorance as being new, but sometimes you just got to start somewhere.
yeah,
What's that combination? We haven't really talked about that.
Well, I think that's
I
what
got that out of the
I'm trying
government.
to bring up right now is that we can determine how we're gonna fund this project. But right now, what we're doing is we're establishing, right, a capital H account in order saying we're gonna move forward with the project. That's my interpretation. Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking for the exact
resolution.
resolution. I don't,
Okay.
It's hard to
who's
find.
monitoring, like, is Amanda on, or can someone pull it up? I'm just, because I want to know what the resolution is, maybe different than.
That's the government ops resolution.
Or just-
No, they're looking for the real.
The real.
Oh, can you see the resolution
There it is.
on the screen? It's a 2-pager, so
Oh, here it is. Yeah, and hereby authorize the director to seek other and further financial resources, including without limitation, local government.
The results, financing further.
Right? Is that what you were looking for?
Budget to support a multi-phase. Four or five, it is further. Oh.
72 font.
Donation amount of 4 from ARPA. So that's
Doesn't it say 4 million? from
4 million
ARPA?
from ARPA funds.
That's what it
Right there, I
says.
recall.
Yes,
4 million from ARPA.
but it didn't say that in the.
Oh,
Is that all right?
oh, in the title, but in the resolution, it's a $4 million ARPA.
Yeah, that's,
That's the thing
oh, you're.
I know that was, I'm not. I'm not.
Mr. Strong.
That I am.
Yes, Mr. Strong.
I want to call a caucus.
Is there a second? Do we need the, where's the council?
No.
Are you guys cool? So let's go into caucus because we're going.
Anybody can call.
Sure.
Yeah.
You gotta give you have to give a time.
Time frame.
2, what do you think, 10 minutes?
Return.
It should be no more than an hour.
10 minutes.
Yeah, at times.
10 minutes. Is everybody all right with 10 minutes?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Still come.
Okay, so call the meeting back to order. Mr. Palermo, are you on, sir?
I certainly am.
Chris, is it possible to establish a capital H account? And then to say, for example, the resolution to say, to establish the capital H account and then to say to be funded through a variety of different revenue streams. Is that kosher?
You're gonna have to let me look into that, Mr. Petrus. You know, the capital H funds, you know, something that they should go along with is the capital plan, which is supposed to be part of the budget. And you allocate money year over year into your capital H accounts. And they're almost run as mini budgets. Legislature is supposed to, you know, review those from time to time and make sure that everything's fine. Let me get back to you on your specific question.
Back to us now, you mean, Chris?
What's that?
Will you get back to us now, you mean?
Sure. If you give me a few
Okay.
minutes.
All right.
So, Mr. Chair, do you want to?
Move on to the rest.
Yeah,
Move on and come back.
Yeah,
To get the answer from Chris.
yeah.
Do we have a motion second on this? Or?
Yes.
So we'd have to, can we even leave it that way?
Sure, you can leave it that way and then come back.
Well,
Call your motion. to-
I'll withdraw my motion to table for now, and if we're gonna come back to that.
And I'll withdraw my second.
all right, so then we can move through if you
Couple to the rest of the agenda.
Yeah, and then when Chris gets back to us, we can come back to it. If everybody's cool.
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Chair, proceed, sir.
Okay, planning is up.
All right, so planning, we have 5 resolutions. These are all annual contracts, renewals for lake monitoring for Wasco Lake, Cayuga Lake. And also our own soil and water conservation district working with Oswego County Conservation District. So these have all been through committee and passed, and I offer them up tonight.
Move it, Dennison.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? 1 through 5 in planning? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, no? Carried. Thank you. Public Works, Andy?
All right, Public Works, Mr. Chairman, we have 12. They all went through committee. Number 2 was pulled. I don't know if Gary and Chris ever got together on that one, but that was pulled to change a different building. I'd offer them as a bundle unless anybody wants 1 and 3 through 12 separated.
I'll move them as a bundle.
Second, Petrus.
This is, yeah, anybody want to discuss the various resolutions? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Judicial and Public Safety, Mr. Strong.
Mr. Chairman, Judicial Public Safety had a total of 7 resolutions. I would like to ask for a bundle of JP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I
Offer
think
them as a bundle.
I think it might be best to go 1 through 5. If I'm remembering correctly. 6 feels very Cayuga Council-ish. Yeah.
I have a motion to bundle JP 1 through 5. I offer them up as a bundle.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Dennison. Or motion by Mr. Dennison, a second by
I'll second.
Blaine.
Blaine.
Thank you. Any discussion on bundling 1 through 5? Can I get a motion or to approve?
You've got a
Oh,
motion.
got a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No
Carried.
opposition. Carried. Okay, JP 6, authorizing the Cayuga County Sheriff to accept a grant from U.S. Department of Justice for the law enforcement-based victim special program. The sheriff is in chambers.
I'll move it.
I'll second. Amy.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like the record to reflect that I'm abstaining from JP6.
Mr. Petrus has moved to abstain from JP6. Any other further discussions? No other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. JP7 was added for this meeting, and it's authorizing the chair of the legislator and the Cayuga County Sheriff to implement a body worn camera program within the Sheriff's Road Patrol Division to create and fill a clerk position and accept a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to supplement the cost. Now, through side discussions, we have asked to possibly amend this resolution to change the wording of ARPA funds.
I think, can I stop you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Do we need a motion and a second for discussion and then an amendment?
Move it, Dennison.
Second, Petrus. Proceed, sir.
Proceed to discussion. We have a motion in a second.
You could do your amendment.
Okay, the amendment it would be to replace the wording of ARPA funds and replace it with fund balance account. And if you give me the time here, it is the change from the ARPA funds. The request is for $52,339. That would be line item number A31500-44200. And I would like to change that to fund balance. The other change would be, it's not necessarily a change, but it would be 22,000s, line item number A31100-43393. There's a body camera account, which the total of the account or grant, excuse me, is the total is 66,000. We need 22,000 of that to cover the first year of this ask for the body camera resolution. I know that may be a little confusing.
I'll second it for discussion.
I mean, you're not, I don't think we have to change the 22,000, right? That revenue account will stay.
Yeah, but it's just, it's for a 1 year
Right, this,
ask.
okay.
It's only, we're funding this money for 1 year. If you look down for the increase, the revenue account is changed. The wording ARPA will come or be changed to fund balance. And obviously the body camera grant is just the 22,000 for the first year. Sheriff, if you would correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, if we fund this through the change or the fund balance in the first year of the body camera grant, we could then, or you could actually finish this. Is it a 3 or 5 year?
The grant award is a 3-year grant award.
Correct.
But if it's funded, however it's funded, and we move forward, that would allow us to accept the grant funding this month and move forward with it.
So the fund balance would require 2/3 vote. So did we say that or no?
Not ready though, but on the full ledge.
Full body, yeah.
Need to make sure that.
This would be just to bring, because this wasn't brought up under JPS.
This
This
won't
month.
have to be 2/3.
Right, yeah, she's just saying that when it gets to the full.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And that's, I was just wanted to explain for everybody listening that this motion was brought up tonight at Ways and Means and not at JPS. And that's why we're kind of explaining everything and going through this. And the 2/3 vote would be at the full ledge meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Statement.
And Mr. Chair, this is just for this new clerk position that would take care of.
No, it's for the first year of the body worn. You're paying for the body worn camera for the first year. You know what? This is kind of your job.
So this resolution would authorize us to enter into a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises to purchase the cameras. would also authorize us to create and fill a clerk position to manage the data from the cameras and then to accept the grant for the $66,000. Three separate issues are addressed in the resolution.
Okay, so I guess I mean, basically, if we're accepting this, we're accepting the full term, because you're not gonna do it for 1 year and then, so I guess that's I mean, I don't care how we do it, but do we break it all down for 1 year, or do we just say we accept the damn thing for the term and be done with it? I mean, and where's the money coming from? That's all I'm saying.
I think the only thing we need to say is that so that we can take it out of your budget, you're increasing his budget for this position. So
Yeah.
Taking out a fund balance and then knowing we can budget for it versus the ARPA wouldn't be a
Yeah,
sustainable
exactly.
amount of money to pull from. So
Yep,
if that's the motion, I would.
yes, I believe. I don't
So,
know if
yeah,
I
we
worded
got that.
it
We just
exactly.
Oh, you're already doing that.
We did, yeah.
I think to your point, Andy, this means, I mean, we're moving forward with this project. The body worn cameras is 40-some thousand a year for 5 years. That's what you pay the company.
Correct, it'd be $44,961 each year for a 5-year period.
And whether you put it in your operating budget after this year's over, or there's a separate ARPA ask for the camera part of it, I mean, that's all to be determined. But this gets you that 66,000, commits the county to moving this forward and gets us through to January.
Correct, and then we would have to address next year's budget at budget time. So this resolution just addresses amending our
First year, correct?
to accept the proposal and move forward.
It's gonna increase our budget, yearly budget by about $110,000 every year.
Right.
So, that and inflation will add up when we get to budget time.
Unfortunately. All right, we've had discussion. Anybody else have any? Mr. Petrie?
No, sorry.
So I would, let's see, how do we go back?
Amendment first.
Motion to amend?
No, we'll vote on the motion to amend, right? And so,
We clarify the amendment, please.
Oh, boy.
oh, that was it. Start reading, Mark.
I didn't write it all down. Just, I guess what we're gonna do is
We're just not saying it's coming from our.
right, we're
Right, this
changing
one right here,
fund,
right?
change it to fund the ARPA to fund balance. And we're agreeing to fund this for the first year so that we get the 66,000 grant that expires if we don't do something at the end of this month.
I get it. So just, we're changing A31500
Yep.
and whatnot, not say ARPA.
Right, correct. All in favor
Wait,
of,
hey, Mark, sorry.
yep, no, am I, all in favor of the motion to change?
The amendment.
Amendment.
Yep. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Now we have to,
We have to remove, I move the amended
Motion as
resolution.
amended. Or
Second,
yeah,
Resolution as amended.
second, Petrus.
all open for discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. One last thing, it was brought up under my committee, Judicial and Public Safety, Ledge 1, a resolution urging the state of New York to amend criminal justice reform. This did pass in my committee. Let's see, need a motion?
Petrus.
I'll second, Daley.
Open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You should have gave Chris a little extra time with all that.
Yeah. See if he's,
So am I back, Mr. Chairman?
If Chris is.
Mr. Palermo? Can I
Yes.
get you out of, are you in Black's Law Dictionary or?
Well, to be honest with you, it really is an accounting question. So about the comptroller's establishing capital reserve accounts, going through some of that. And what your question asked me, it kind of relates to a capital budget, which for this Dreams Project Act, I don't think we have really a capital budget in place. So my answer is going to be yes. You can, in your capital account, you can plan for anticipated revenues from other sources. That would be fine.
Outstanding, sir. Thank you. So now, so I think we have to go back. Mr. Palermo.
Yep.
The original.
Yeah, so
Amanda.
Mr. Palermo, we need to move it again, then amend it, then vote on, just like we did with Marks, right?
But you had a motion in a second, and then you had a motion to table, which I think was intended to be a motion to refer to committee. That got a
Yeah,
second.
it was.
I think that was withdrawn.
Yes,
So you still have your resolution on the floor. I don't think that was withdrawn. Probably should have been because you went on to other things,
I
but
think we did withdraw it though, didn't we?
No,
the whole
We only
motion.
did the,
we just.
We just the one. All right.
So it's
Elaine?
theoretically still on the floor.
Is there a way to work on the resolution and bring it forward and introduce it at the ledge meeting? So it's all put
We're
together?
trying to meet the date, that Sue was
Oh.
worried about, okay?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, this meeting Tuesday coming.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
try to get it.
If I get it, I would like to sit down and have a conversation with Mary Beth Leeson if that's something
then
we can do.
Ready the resolution
The
for,
only thing we're changing is we're taking out the ARPA funds. We're saying we're gonna fund it. I don't understand what the problem is.
Right, just let me clarify we'll do our best to get it for you, Elaine.
oh, no, I'm just saying it.
No, I know that's reasonable.
Easier than trying to,
Well, it's a reasonable ask, but I think we're gonna try to move forward. But unless, Mr. Palermo, could you repeat what you just said?
I said that, I'd like to have a sit down with Mary Beth if I can, because I know she's an expert on this stuff when it comes to governmental accounting. And I think her and I there may be a few revisions, minor amendments to the resolution, but whatever they are, they will be put out as quickly as possible before Tuesday.
So Chris, are you comfortable? Because I would like to move this, Chris, and then have it amended, but are you saying that, don't yell at me. Are you saying that you need more time to prepare the resolution? Because if so, then I won't.
No,
Okay, so you're comfortable and we can amend, so everyone will have a chance to look at this resolution prior to the full legislature,
which is two.
which is Tuesday.
So we're gonna hold it till.
No, not yet. I think, and if he's good with it, I think we can go forward if you guys still want to. Or am I misunderstanding what he's saying?
I think he said okay, but I better ask him again.
right. So you got a capital H, right? Which account, which is, you got an A fund, a B fund, a D fund, a DM fund. You got an H group of H accounts. That's a capital account. But what we, and I really would prefer to have these conversations privately.
Okay, then
but-
don't. Yeah,
Okay, let me have some conversations with Mary Beth and,
but moving forward, establishing a capital H account tonight. You're okay with that?
yes,
All right.
yes.
Heidi, yes.
Just to be clear about order, if the motion was referred back to committee,
It never passed.
okay,
Yeah.
so it's still in discussion.
No, we didn't. They withdraw their,
It was withdrawn.
yes.
So, how do we legally get it on to?
Because it's still on the floor, if I understood Chris correctly. The motion in the second.
I did not, just to add in, I did not have a motion in a second on that. I just had the motion to table. I had your Petrus, you had a motion, but then it went to tabling it without a second on the original motion. So it's
I
not
thought it
on
was
the
Mr.
floor.
Strong, but we can do that again. Thanks, Amanda. We'll do it again just to be,
Yeah, that would be
Secure.
preferred. Thank you.
So I just wanted clarity on how we keep it on the ledge for Tuesday.
okay, so I think by passing it through this committee as amended, I think that's how we'll do that. So at this time, does anyone, as Chris said,
So we have to move GO1.
okay, I got Dennison moved it.
I'll second it.
if Chris has problems with it, whatever, we can also bring it up just as a resolution on the floor.
Right, but I think.
Amended, then we'll all have it in print. Would that be better?
You can amend it now if you'd like to create the capital H and then.
Well, that's all in the motion already. I mean, the only thing is, the 4 million from ARPA.
Right, that's all we're changing. So I don't see it as a problem, but I want to make sure everybody's comfortable.
So now that it's moved and
We
second,
got a motion by Dennison and
I will second it.
So-
Mark?
there's a motion and a second. Does anybody want to talk about it? Articulate maybe why they.
Right, what's the actual
Amendment.
amendment?
well, now you.
Well, we got to do that, yeah.
Well, then do it.
So we got it back on the floor now. So now, do you want to wait and then discuss the amendment, or do you have any discussion now?
I don't have,
Make the
I don't know
amendment.
who's got the language for the amendment, but.
It's not me.
Guys, okay.
Mr. Strong, would you like to make an amendment?
I seconded the amendment.
No,
Oh, you want me to make the amendment?
again, right, just we're striking the ARPA to establish the
All right,
account.
yes,
to move forward.
what I guess my amendment would be to take the wording ARPA out. I'd like to establish capital H fund
To-
account
To fund this project.
to fund the project with,
Various different funding sources.
I don't want to make sure we,
Well, all that needs to be amended is that line. Approve the Cayuga County Legislature further authorizes an initial appropriations and take out the dreams. To the dreams, capital H project in the amount of $4 million and take out from ARPA funds, from ARPA and other funds. Then we can do whatever we want to.
Could I say something? This is Len.
Of course,
Chris, I'm not sure that they can establish a capitalization unless it's clear what the source of funding is.
That's what I'm afraid of.
That's what I said.
You need to, they need to have a clear
So tonight they're not really establishing
itemized. where it's-
anything until the full board votes on it. So that gets us till Tuesday. And
All right, fine.
some of those conversations.
Just pull it. Just pull it.
Tuesday, all
Have
right?
it come back on Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right with you?
Who did the motion? Who did the second?
Well, it's got to be passed by the full body anyhow. so-
Yeah,
Right.
fine.
so you're saying table it to,
No, we're gonna try to bring it up
And then
Tuesday.
Reintroduce it on the.
I will bring it up myself Tuesday.
Well, we'll table it till
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Okay, table it till Tuesday.
Can you table it to the full edge, Chris?
No, you, at Ways and Means, you would pass a resolution to get it to the
I
legislature.
have to bring it up. Somebody has to bring it up.
We just bring it to the floor.
Yeah. I'll bring it.
Or we can just bring it to the full body and not have.
That's correct. Any legislator can bring a writing as long as it's in resolution or in a resolution in writing to the floor at any time. Right.
All right, Judith says, pull your,
No, so technically, there's no movement on this resolution
Right.
at all.
we're just gonna pull it
Yep.
and we'll talk about it on Tuesday. Like I said, I'll bring it.
Him, Lynn,
okay.
Mary Beth, all time.
So Andy pulls his, right?
and you have to pull your,
So I.
Withdraw.
rescind my motion.
I'll withdraw my second.
Shoot, that's 30 pieces of silver.
Okay.
So, all right, I washed my hands of it. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, is there anybody anything further? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.